Okay, and welcome back. We're picking up where we left off last time in Strategic Command, World War I in the Cold Arms campaign. And it's the Central Powers. I think we're going to start doing some work. Well, I'm saying we think we're going to start doing some work. We're doing some work already. It's, the work will continue, I think is where we're at. Really practice. Okay, we got subs back in port. They're going to need a couple turns to undergo their repairs. Okay, back raiding that line. You're going to continue limping in. Okay, you're not going to get back into port yet, but that's fine. Let's try to get the destroyers positioned back within the minefield. So we got 2 subs ready to repair. We got another sub. Yeah, another sub ready to go into port as soon as those guys are out. Well, actually, it'll probably have to go inside into the Baltic to get repaired. So otherwise, we're going to be bundled up waiting for it. Okay, go silent to run the blockade. You're down to 2 supplies. I really want to get you back to port. You're at 6 supplies, so you're fine out and about for a bit. You're down to 7 supply. Make a risk of dinking the guy in port, so we can send you back to the port up there to resupply. Okay, you're recovering. They're not entrenched, so dump a shell into them and we can poke them. Poke them hard. And then we have Vulcanheim here, who's reasonably decent general. Let's operate him down, provide adequate supply to these guys. Okay. Yeah, we don't want to trade 1 for 1 against the detachment. So we are where we are there. That's the Ottoman side. We'll repair those Ottoman warships. We know there's a sub out there, but we don't have a good way to search for it yet. Okay, we've got artillery positioned here. 4 shells, 5 entrenchment. Okay, do what we can. this point, we're just gonna blow the ground cover, just hammer the morale out of this guy with artillery shells, then send the infantry. He has delayed our advance long enough. Arguably, still delays our advance. Okay, well at this point we pretty much threaten what's left of the Greek forces. Artillery will probably... Well, actually no, this is the German one, so he's gonna get like 4 shells, isn't he? He's gonna get 3 shells. So that'll blow half the entrenchment off here. And this is just a detachment, so they're not gonna appreciate any level of damage. And then, yeah, then these guys can go in. Okay. So, Greek front going well. That front's successfully stalling. That front's successfully stalling. Yeah, I'll take the risk. Yeah, it was worth. Didn't pay dividends. Oops. Yeah, we'll keep you on the road. You're probably able to get enough supply. In fact, you'll get more supply if you just go there. Next turn to reinforce. Then leave you in better position to advance. You want to heal. You want to heal. Maybe even upgrade. You could upgrade, but it'd be mobility. We don't need the Imagine troops to be that mobile. 3-6 is you're tempted to pass up. And we got 5-6, which is still pretty good. Okay, I think that's as good as that front's gonna get. Obviously we need to reinforce the Verdun garrison. You only got ground cover of 1. So I should probably put a shell into you. Let's get back to ease. Dump the shell into you. Let's go. Let's pull some of the reserves a little farther north. We don't actually have a lot of reserves on the western front at this point, but move a little bit farther north. Okay. Did we do the boats? Yeah, I did the boats. You got 4 shells. Make use of them. You've got 3, although they only got 2 entrenchment for you, so get rid of that entrenchment, and then we can send troops in to get rid of them. Okay. Wait, do you have... that would be the spot. Now we can move the artillery there, and then we can... Artillery shell you... next turn. Yeah, there's a garrison in that location. I was suspecting that. The supply situation's so bad. Okay, so that's a lot of Russian HQs, and not a lot of people between us and them. Seeing as we're also getting the artillery, which is in front of them, yeah, they're. I think we're about to capture a lot of our Russian HQs intact. They're into 18%, yeah. Can't necessarily see what's in the city. Nothing's in the port. Okay, that hurt us more than we got rewarded for it. Which probably wasn't that surprising in hindsight. Oh, we done the subs. We haven't done the reconnaissance to figure out if there's any Royal Navy ships too close to German ports. There doesn't appear to be. Okay, a little worried about the guy that's 5% at 5. rest of the line should be fine, or at least should take a lot of Frenchmen with them, if they're not fine. You're in port to resupply. Okay. So that's good, that's good. That's as good as that's gonna be. That's good. That's good. So I think for once we've actually got decent purchasing power. Yeah, let's grab another German HQ. Can I afford the detachment? I can. Again, this is going to be garrisoning. At this point, I'm not going to set it up against the Russians. I'm going to leave it in Poland. So, if you know what you do with Poland after you defeat the Russians, that guy is going to make sense. If you don't, you don't. I'll explain it when that happens. Okay, Austria-Hungary can pick up a HQ as well, which we'll do. Ottomans we might save up for a for one of their artillery pieces. Actually, they can afford their artillery piece. And we'll have the funds for the artillery weapons by the time it gets here. We'll recruit it. Okay, and then research. Spent everything. So the Austro-Hungarians are the ones that have the most capacity to spend. They probably do want some logistics. Yeah. Let's just splurge on. Yep. That's as much as we can fund as the Austro-Hungarians. So we're putting one in the logistics because that's all we can do. Although we're likely to pick up gas shell production on the next turn, and then we'll have another to spare, and we can put more logistics on it. Okay. So anything worth purchasing is them. Could grab an airship. That would kind of do what I was trying to do. What I was thinking about doing with the planes. Or I can do reconnaissance on stuff. Yeah, let's grab the airship. Anyway, that's the turn. So let's cycle the turn. Let's see how the Allies responding to the Russian situation falling apart. I think they managed to stabilize the Italian situation for the moment. Conscription leads to industrial unrest in the dockyards. Entente raiders disrupt Norway-German convoys. And they're blockading north of Scotland and in the North Sea. Production tech breakthrough. Gas shell hits 2 as Austria-Hungary, which we were expecting. Logistics level 2 for the Ottomans. Industry tech level 3 for the Ottomans. Still over 600 MPP as the Germans, even with the deploying von Falkenheim's HQ. I don't know where the artillery went, but it operated. And that's probably the last opportunity it could have operated out of there, so I think it picked the right timing. Any later, and we're likely to cut the rail line going through Riga off. And then they'll be stuck in the Kurland pocket. Could probably benefit from the upgraded fighters. the Entente bombardment. Artillery scores 2 damage. So we know there's someone in Kiev. Apparently there's no one between us and Kiev, which is a different state of affairs. Norway complains about Entente tax on their merchantmen. Conscription leads to industrial unrest in the dockyards. And we're raiding 3 of the lines. We're raiding more, but the raiding got interdicted. Oh, we did pretty good work, though, on the 3 lines. We did full 50 MPP across all 3. And the German Corps deploying. Let's go for a full reinforce of the Western Front. Oh, before I forgot. You. Fire. It's unlikely to do anything, but it's not completely harmless. Ow. I feel like the Allied or the Entente Air Force has the fighter upgrade. Okay. Given the circumstances, I'm not sure we want to take that spot from them. 2 to 5 is tempting, but that takes us down to 5, and we probably get whacked in return. Let's not risk that. Is that the mountains there still? That is the mountains there still. Okay, that spot. Okay, so down here with you, there's no one in that port. Okay. Okay, you should be able to resupply and replace yourself. Yes. We'll see if Michelle's there. Yeah, 1 point. No, I think the trench is worth more than 1 point. And then how much can you reinforce? Point. Okay. Oh, and the weather's starting to turn terrible. Okay. Okay, that's not too bad, although it's a pain to put the artillery piece. Yeah, I think winter is coming, and Russia's not a good place to be fighting anywhere near winter. We've hit the Russian mud season apparently, which may bring the assault to a grinding conclusion in many places, at least the places without significant artillery support. Okay. So you guys want to be around Warsaw, so just march you down towards Warsaw. We got artillery support here. We do have reconnaissance support, so send the recon in. Okay. That may be all the damage we're going to get to do before winter sets in. Yeah, because of the arrival of the mud. Although, at this point, these guys are kind of stuck. There's no operating out of that pocket unless they get those 2 detachments out of the way. And what's left in that pocket, yeah, what's left in the Kirkland pocket is probably going to get squished. Things go my way. So that's the Western Front, that's the Eastern Front. Italian Front. We haven't done the Greek Front. We have not done the Greek Front. No, I should probably send the recon run in. Oh, and that doesn't let him to... Ah! Okay, so they're going to get reinforced. Although they don't have enough supply, they're not going to reinforce. They're going to think about reinforcing, and then be sad. You know, at this point, I think the Bulgarians are too late to the party. They're not getting in here. It doesn't mean I can't do something with the Bulgarians. It just means I don't think this is the thing the Bulgarians are doing. Yeah, that would be a fairly strong help over there. Don't necessarily want to leave them over there long term, but... on the railway. I think the Eastern Front's almost done, but at the same time, until I can pull the artillery out of the Eastern Front, or the artillery out of the Greek Front, don't need more troops on the Western Front because we're attacking with one artillery piece leading the way. Another Bulgarian Corps, which we'll be able to operate next turn. Yeah, same thing there. The Bulgarian cavalry. Do you want to take the 0-2? Yeah, we'll take the 0-2. Yeah, second HQ. To be fair, because the Bulgarians actually get the German techs, the second HQ here is going to help a lot with logistics. And it's going to give a command bonus to the Bulgarians. And we're bringing the Bulgarian artillery in to really get things moving here. We'll probably pull the Bulgarians out the moment we take over the Cairo area. Leave the Ottomans to the rest of it. Yeah, probably. Hindsight, maybe don't naval bomb the ports. We know the Dreadnought in there. The Dreadnought would actually probably be worth sub-attacking if they hide in the ports, but... And subs are busy. Basically describe what's going on with the subs. The subs are busy. You're starting to get low on supplies, so it's time for you to start working your way back. You're outbound. You're a little damaged. I'm actually going to keep you closer to home. Keep you up on this line. You're outbound. Most I'm going to need... Okay. Well, we found the enemy destroyer. We didn't really want to find the enemy destroyer, but we found him. And you're going to keep limping up. Okay. I was about to say, I don't really need two on the UK-Russia line. Yeah, good thing, because it's not making it there. Yeah, it's, it's not, in fact, got to go there. Okay, so we've done the west, we've done the east. I don't think we had any... Well, could. I don't think that's... Well, I don't necessarily take the direction that we're going to do if that was to happen. Okay. So the Bulgarians are going to get involved, which means we're going to have a lot more artillery capacity coming in. Although that's not really going to kick in next turn. That's going to kick in turn after next, I think. I think this is consistently updating. I think this updates at the beginning of the turn. Stuff up here. Although, maybe it is updating. Saying we're at 15%, that's still 7,000 something damage we need to do, national morale damage. Although, that's not really great for them. The fact that we're, like, getting to HQs is a bad sign for the Russians. And once the Russians end the war, we don't need to worry about the Romanians, although we're not going to take the detachments out of Bulgaria. We'll leave the detachments in Bulgaria. Just in case something goes really wrong. So the Austro-Hungarians are rich. Which is probably a good thing. Let's grab logistics with them. Help to fix that one weakness they have. So anything we need to purchase with Germany before we... Nothing we need to purchase. Already queued up an artillery with you, right? Yeah. So yeah, okay, so Germany can spend all this on research. What would we spend it on, though? Fighter development. Or command and control, or infantry war. Well, we can mix and match a little, I suppose. Let's take the command and control. And one of the fighter developments. And the Ottomans could definitely use more logistics. You can only put up 3 in logistics at a time. They necessarily wouldn't complain about gas shell. Grab another gas shell to get that going a little faster. And then grab some infantry warfare. Oh, that's the maximum they can... Well, can research something that costs up to 60. Let's grab some aerial war first, then get some more planes. And then Euromax. Here we go. Okay, let's cycle the turn. Let's see how the Entente responds to that. And then we may actually put the end of the stream after this end turn. Because it's already 3 a.m. in the morning. I was hoping that I'd started earlier in the night, so I could record 5 or 6 parts, but I think we're going to be stuck at 4. Commander of the High Seas Fleet, Vice Admiral Scheer. And we have a number of commerce freighters preparing to sail in the next few months on long-distance voyages to attack enemy shipping in the Pacific and Indian Oceans. Preparing these vessels will cost 50 MPPs. Would you like to authorize payment so these commerce freighters can set sail on voyages to harass enemy shipping? So no. The proposal is to send the Mao, the Wolf, and the sailing ship called the Sea Delair. They will sneak past enemy shipping and head for the South Atlantic, from where they will sail further afield to commence raiding enemy shipping lanes far from Earth. Saying yes will disrupt the British trade, raising the UK's income as a result. I'm fine with spending 50 MPP for that. Germany is blamed as Spain seizes 1 million rifle cartridges destined for the rebels in Morocco. The Italian Entente's destroyer enters into service. Milanese territorial militia mobilized. Entente raiders disrupt Norway, Germany convoys. And the blockade continues. The Dadaist art movement is born in Switzerland. Germany develops fighter development level 1. Okay, so we can upgrade our fighters. Their aircraft. Germany develops armored warfare level 1. And we need armored warfare level 2 to put our first tank out. Austria-Hungary develops infantry weapons level 2. Austria-Hungary develops command and control level 1. And is almost there with the next level of production. Okay, it looks like they're getting a nice weather turn. Naval mines. Hit a destroyer. Enemy contact. That destroyer is a bit stuck. Looks like we're about to get another ship kill. Quite a bit of artillery. We'll see if we have good weather when it comes around to our turn. Oh, okay. That's the partisan activity in Russia. Okay. Ah, I didn't realize that we had partisans minus. Russian army is weakened by mutinies and desertion. We'll have to do that partisan in our rear. I forgot to check to see if there's partisans this deep in Russia. I haven't been this deep in Russia before. So do some decent raiding. It's raining. Well, it's raining where it can rain. Torpedo boat deploys. And the post on detachment deploys. Yeah, it's raining. It's a little oops, didn't realize there was a partisan spot there. In fact, there's a partisan spot there, which apparently we're suppressing with an HQ. That's the first two we get to. Okay. Yeah, we're not quite an hour. I'll play a little bit longer. We're not going to cycle the turn again. What I'll try to do is we'll try to end this turn before we end it for the stream. If I knew which port that 1 HP cruiser went to, I'd definitely go chase it down. That destroyer is in a little bit of an inconvenient spot, so it's gonna have a bad day. Yeah, that hasn't saved it. Oh, we hit mines! Yeah, it still hasn't saved the destroyer. This means we took a lot of damage. Can you make it to port? Yes. I don't necessarily need you in port. So you can get to port. And you can go take over the raiding spot. Okay, it's over. There goes Athens. Which actually means you get to curb stomp a ship in port. Okay. Or could curb stomp a ship in port. We need to obviously finish this problem. Okay, you can get there to finish the job. Okay, so now there's like a 6% chance. 6% chance that Greece isn't surrender. Greece is probably surrendering. We won't get to see that until the beginning of next stream, but that'll be a surprise to ourselves next stream. Is the Greek surrender. Okay. That's making some progress. So the sandstorm down here is going to be an issue. So no attacks there during the sandstorm, at least. Get you up to 8. I think we can get you up to 8 as well. Up to 7. You know what? Still take him up to 7. And the raining here is going to stop us from really attacking. Yeah, you recovered. So I think Greece will surrender when we start the stream next time. I wanted to choose tempting, but not tempting enough. 2 to 7. When we've got a follow-up, it's... yeah. So the thing to remember with the mountain cores is they get the +1/+1 when they're in mountains or when they're attacking the mountains. So we're in the mountains. We lose that bonus, we leave the mountains, of course. And then you either need to recover or at least get the fighter development upgrades. Let's get the fighter development upgrade and we'll do the HP recovery next turn. Rain's not very conducive to attacking. Although to some degree that's mutual, right? Oh, you haven't managed to entrench. Okay. Why are... oh, because you have 1 action point, but it's going to cost you 2 to go anywhere you want to go. Fair enough. One to 4 is tempting. I'll take the 1 to 5. Okay, 1 to 5. Oh no, 2 to 5. So that's the Western Front, that's the Alps. That's Greece, probably Greece forever, because Greece is probably not coming back from that. I think we're in the position where we're going to start trading them down and start pushing to Cairo. We need to deploy some more down to here. When this one collapses, these guys are going to come down into Mesopotamia. The reason almost tempting, but because of the weather, I know I can probably get better in the future for patient. Ooh. Okay, never mind. You'll take your upgrade instead then. Can't get you in artillery range this turn. I should deal with that partisan before it becomes a real problem. Okay. Just entrench here instead. And I suppose that wouldn't be a bad place to march the detachment out to. All things considered. I think that's the Western Front. These guys upgraded. Start the process of repairing these guys. So one of those can be sent out next turn. Just gonna put my mine back. They hit it last turn. We'll put it back and it'll do good work again. Probably. Or the game win. One of the two. Oop. Okay, you're raiding that line. You're down to 5 supplies, so we need to work on the way back. Although I can't resist raiding the supply lines as we go past them on the way back. Okay, so I think that's all the fronts. This is where we'll go ahead and probably be thinking about ending the video. We're not going to do any more gameplay. I will go over the reports to see where we are at this point in the game. So, loss-wise, this is the loss report. 1% of all the casualties is the Ottoman Empire, 3% is the Austrian-Hungarians, and 6% is Germany. So, 1 in 10 units destroyed during this game is on our side. The other 9 are on the other side. Mostly on land and mostly Russian. 55 infantry corps have been destroyed for Russians, 15 detachments, 10 cavalry corps, 7 mountain corps, 3 garrisons, 1 partisan, 1 artillery, 1 dreadnought, 1 pre-dreadnought. Haven't managed to get any of the HQs yet. We have got 2 British HQs, which are the only HQs we've destroyed. They must have been... Oh, those were probably the... those would have been the Greek ones, I think. I think we just read 2 Greek ones. Well, maybe one of them was Greek. Maybe one of them wasn't. And yeah, the Serbians got into the double digits before they got destroyed. The French had 17 cores destroyed. The Italians have had 7. The British have had 15. Although that includes the miners that fight under them. So that probably includes a bunch of Greek as well. Yeah, this is the loss ratios. You can see the British are not doing the best at keeping their ships alive. They did a better job in my previous run. And then graphs. National morale-wise, we're up at 130% as the Germans, 126% as the Austro-Hungarians. The Ottomans are at 64%. The British are down to 54%, so not much longer, and the British might be below 50%. The French are at 47%. The Italians are at 56%. Serbians are gone, so we won't look at them. Well, that's basically what the Serbians looked like. The Russians are down to 11%. That reflected up here. Maybe this tooltip's not going to come up while I'm in this menu. The Americans aren't in the war yet. Americans are collecting MPP and occasionally spending them, although because we've been keeping them fairly neutral, they haven't earned very much. This is the Ottomans, who have spent more than they've lost, which is good to see. Austro-Hungarians are not quite there. They've lost more than they spent. And then this is the Germans have lost more than we spent. And then that's going to be a trend as you look through the Allies. Lost a lot more than they spent. 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 And once again, more than they spent. In fact, they've lost more than they've earned. That one and that one. That one. Well, not on the French. So the French are going to need a little bit more of a beating before they start to run out of combat capability. And the British, to some degree, are starting to run out of combat capability. We're kind of seeing that in various locations. That's probably why the French have had to take over the Italians a little bit on the Alps, because the Italians are at the point where they're actually lost more troops and they've collected resources. See, the French have tried doing some raiding. Main blockade that the British do is not classed as raiding. Although this, yeah, this must be my rating. So I've been doing raiding more reliably than that. So maybe this is actually the losses I've lost. Well, then that doesn't make much sense. What's that, surface raiders? No, that's sub losses. Oh no, this is the loss of my raiders. Okay, that makes sense. So this is the damage we're taking to subs. This is losses. So we've been suffering some convoy losses. I haven't been really worrying that much about the Norway line. And then, of course, the land routes aren't being interdicted. Russia's reached the point where they're getting as much supply as they're losing most times. Serbia's out, although Serbia would be being interdicted if they were in. They haven't been doing a particularly great job with the Italy, but at this point, Italy's more likely to lose the place they're getting it from. The French... Well, they've been affecting the French, apparently. And then we've been kind of doing to the British. Like, that's non-trivial amounts of damage. We've done, like, 3 cores worth of damage without really trying super hard. But they also get so much income from convoys. But yeah, we're working towards victory. I suspect in the next stream we will have the Russians out of it. At this point, we know that they no longer can get people out of the Kurland pocket. They are, because of the ports in here, they are getting adequate supply in the Kurland pocket. So that's not a concern for them. But they're not getting any troops in, they're not getting any troops out. And at this point, I think most of the combat capability in the pocket is actually the commanders and not the troops. So there's definitely decent value in there for closing the pocket up. We've put troops back on the partisans. I should really bring a detachment over and have a detachment do what this guy's doing. Although when I put that guy there, I didn't realize there was partisans to be suppressing. So we're going to have to be, as we move farther east, we're going to have to be east and northeast. We're going to have to worry some of the partisans as we get into proper, what the Russians would consider proper Russian lands. Maybe a bit questionable about this area down here, but although partisans from there would make sense. We're getting close to Kiev. We're getting close to Odessa. And the Russian resistance is getting threadbare. So we're destroying enough Russians. The Russians are having trouble trying to find Russians to get in the way. Is it going to play along with me, with giving me the report? Maybe not. Yeah, not going to play along with me today for telling me how many points specifically they have left. But the Russians are getting fairly close. They're down to... They're down to 11% is where we said they were. And the Russians are also... All Russians at this point are also on a time limit. They're going to get dinged 25% of the time for 25 points every turn. And at this point, the Russians are fighting as bad as they're ever going to fight. The French are probably fighting about as bad as they're fighting to fight. Italians are still haven't hit their last ding, and the British haven't hit the last ding. Yep, this is the state of the run. If everything goes well, I think we'll get the Russians knocked out, at least in the next spring, or next stream. Probably sometime during spring. And then we'll have sort of a summer offensive in 1917. And I suspect the summer offensive, if it makes it to Paris, will probably knock France out of the war. And then we'll probably hit Cairo and maybe do some forays into Italy if we get some artillery back from the fronts. Well, once we deal with the Russians, we're going to get 2 artillery pieces back here. That'll come over here. These 2 artillery pieces will go to the Western Front. The German one down here will go to the Western Front. This one will go to the Alps. So we'll end up with like 3 artillery pieces in the Alps and like 4 on the Western Front once the Russians surrender. Although we are about to get some back, assuming Greece surrenders. Greece surrenders at the beginning of next stream, then we'll have 2 artillery pieces rolling back for one for the Western Front, one for the Alps. And in the case of the Alps, that's going to get the Alps moving. And then Padua and Venice are going to fall. Verona is going to be threatened. The Italians are going to be having an unhappy day. And we maybe might do some hijinks with the Marines in the bottom of the boot. But that's where we're going to end the stream for today. If you're watching on YouTube, we'll have a part up tomorrow. If you're watching on Twitch, let me go ahead and bring up the stream schedule so I can tell you what's coming up over the next couple days. I think it is Shadow Empire tomorrow. That's what my schedule says, Shadow Empire tomorrow. The day after tomorrow will be Xenonauts. We'll be dealing with that first Terra mission. Hopefully one where the graphics load properly so we can play it. Then Wednesday will be the continuation of this stream. And we are running on a 3-day, 3-game cycle, so likely if Shadow Empire doesn't finish tomorrow, we'll be playing that on Thursday. Yes. And assuming I can stream properly. That's going to be the day I'm going to start having to dog watch. So that may be the day, that may be when streaming starts becoming an issue. If it doesn't become an issue, we'll probably try to sneak the 4th game back in and start recording for the 4th game at that point. Well, starting Friday. If everything is working again, cycle-wise. Because, yeah, I'm going to watch a family dog. An old elder family dog. And Ben Vols. well, to continue streaming stuff that would involve removing all the setup to a different location. So there might be some kerfuffles involving that. Yeah, that's the upcoming schedule over the next couple days. If you're watching on YouTube and you want a comment responded to, now is your last opportunity to get comments responded to while the stream is live. If you're watching on YouTube and you want a comment responded to, feel free to let me know. YouTube is pretty good for the asynchronous commenting. And if you're watching the Twitch VOD later, because it does stay up for 14 days after the stream, feel free to hop over to the YouTube channel and leave comments over there. And thanks Twitch chat for saying thanks for the stream. If you've got anything else you want to see in the game, feel free to let me know. I'll leave the stream up for about a minute after I end the outro here. So with that, I'm going to wish you all the best of luck and a good time. Catch you all in the next part, and bye for now.